Hey, what up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you. It was fun last night watching that TNA Slammiversary show. Hell, when it comes down to it, I'm a wrestling fan, and I like to watch wrestling. And even though the word is that that might be the last or one of the last TNA pay-per-views that they're ever going to run, I know that they have a lot of those one-night only shows, booked up that they've shot already, but they don't really count in the long run. But I followed WCW closer than I followed TNA in its last dying days. I remember watching that last Nitro and even flipping on TNT to make sure it really was the last Nitro, that it wasn't some sort of an angle the week after Vince and Shane did the split screen. I don't know, I just didn't want it to be over, even though at that time I was on the internet. I was becoming a smarter fan, and they said it was done. I just really didn't want to believe it. But if TNA, really is, going down with the ship, and it really is going to be the end of it come September, my only hopes is that I don't know, how much time in advance you need to go to the pay-per-view companies and say, hey, we want to put on a pay-per-view. I know that when WWE decided they were going to have the Elimination Chamber show, they tried to get it on pay-per-view, but there just wasn't enough time. But I'm hoping that TNA can go to whoever they need to go to, whether it's the cable companies, DirecTV, whoever it is, and try to put together a block of time on pay-per-view. They can just do one more last show. I know that they're going to have to work around WWE. I know that they're going to have to work around, UFC. They're probably not high up on the list, but they do bring in a little bit of money for these people. And, for TNA to really go out with a bang, they tried to have the feel of the show last night. The anniversary of TNA, 13 years. Everybody was pumping their fists and they're excited, but it seemed like every time somebody was trying to wave goodbye to the fans, and say, this is it, they would cut away, unless it was at the very end of the show when Jeff Jarrett, and of course that's the storyline that they're going to be running for the next while, with him being the King of the Mountain champion and the soon-to-be Hall of Famer, and we'll have to see how that all plays out. But I know that they've done the One Night Only special. I already have it on DVD. They did the Tournament of Champions. They did the 10-year anniversary show where they brought back a lot of names. But, I would like to see TNA do a one more last show. I know that when ECW had their show, it was really, really big, and WWE had to put it. When TNA really does go out of business, somebody's going to own those tapes and those DVDs, and when it comes down to it, I think that's a lot of the reason why Jeff Jarrett, he quit TNA, but he never sold his stake, is because I think that's what's most valuable when it comes to the assets of TNA more than anything else, is that they have 13 years of wrestling, whether if it's their actual pay-per-views, whether if it's television, DVD specials that they've put together. There's a lot of footage there, and somebody's going to have to own it. And maybe Jarrett and Dixie, have to hold on to it for a while, but we all know in the long run, the only person that this is going to be valuable to is Vince McMahon and the WWE Network. And some people say, why would Vince even want to own that? But we know with Samoa Joe, coming into WWE, and of course there's always going to be more guys. Maybe Xavier Woods becomes a huge star, and one day they need to put together a documentary on him, and they need the footage to talk about Consequences Creed, or maybe they'll just make a the Rise and Fall of TNA DVD that everyone has been joking about for years. But, more than likely, that's where the footage is going to end up. TNA has a DVD company where they put out their, pay-per-views, but they haven't put together, like, a compilation special in a long time. They put that Sting one out, I apologize. That came out, I think, the week of WrestleMania. But, Sting wrestled in TNA for years, and he still only has those 2 DVDs. Kurt Angle's been there for years. It only has one best of that came out the year he got there. AJ Styles is lucky enough to have 2, but he could easily have 5. Samoa Joe's only got 1. There's lots of guys there that you could easily, put together specials, and maybe somebody owns them and tries to sell them. But where are they really going to market them? I mean, Best Buy doesn't even, stock TNA DVDs anymore. You got to take out infomercial time trying to sell them like Time Life movies on television. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So they're really the only place that they're going to live on is on the WWE Network someday. But, my hope is that TNA can go to the drawing board. As of right now, you can't get Sting, you can't get Booker T, you can't get Samoa Joe. They're all under WWE contract, but try to find a way to put together one last pay-per-view where, maybe you have, they've been really good at looking back at the past. You think of that Destination X show they ran in 2010, which was all, the little guys trying to say that, I don't know, it was like Bischoff wanted it to put out there as a test, and he said that if it works, they're going to go back to it, but, they never really captured the essence of the X Division again. But, they did that show where it was Daniels versus AJ in the main event. You could do things like, put together America's Most Wanted, Bully Ray. Bully Ray, you could have him, team up with Team 3D if you want to use Devon, or maybe you have an Aces in 8 reunion. There's a lot of things that you could do to put these guys out there. I mean, even though a lot of these guys might be in Ring of Honor, like Christopher Daniels and Kaz, AJ Styles, I don't think that if you throw money at them, I don't think that they're going to have a problem with letting them be used for just one last night. When it all comes down to it, Dixie Carter's, they'd be the one making all the money in the cable companies, but, just let them, relive it, have some sort of, Ultimate X match. I guess you can't use Rhino either. I was thinking of using those, AJ and Rhino, that match where they crawled around on top of the scaffolds up there. But, I don't know. You could even use some of the people that made a pit stop in TNA, but, never really got to the point where they got over. You can come back and bring the Young Bucks and sort of expose yourself as, hey, we fucked up. We had these guys under contract, and we let them go because we didn't think that they were anything, and now they're one of the most over tag teams there is in the world. But, ECW, when they did their show, it was way longer, and, Vince, was tired of hearing all the fans chant for ECW, and ECW had a real heartfelt crowd that was behind him. And TNA, God love them, they have those supporters. There's those people that pop up when you make videos about them, they say anything negative, they're going to fight you to the death to try and prove their point. And they love TNA wrestling, that's fine. Everybody's got to be a fan of something. When it all comes down to it, we're all wrestling fans in the end, and that's all that really matters. If Vince does buy TNA and does acquire it, I don't think he's going to do it. So if TNA wants to go out one more time and try to have the best show that they can do, no storylines, no this, that, and the other, just one last night of wrestling to sort of, showcase everything that they've done in their 13 years of existence, they're going to have to plan it before September, more than likely.